Julie Boudin over of On 3 did a great job of catching up with LSU defensive coordinator Blake Baker, had an exclusive interview there for the Bengal Tiger, and he confirmed to her that Harold Perkins would play the star this year in LSU's defense. That's the role that Major Burns occupied much of this year, and this is the last stop here for Harold Perkins and the last effort for LSU to truly unlock a really dynamic and talented defensive player. I think everyone since that breakout his freshman year has expected absolute dominance from Harold Perkins. And for good reason. You're talking about a 5-star recruit who in the last 7 games of 2022, so only 7 games, that's about half a season, he had 11 tackles for loss and 6 sacks over 7 games. You extrapolate that out for a year, you're talking about 11, 12 sacks, 20-plus tackles for loss. Like, that's first-team All-American monster productions type stuff. And since that first year, Perkins has totaled 5.5 sacks and 15 tackles for loss over a season and a half. Now, we understand the numbers are skewed a little bit because he missed the last 7-8 games of LSU's season this past season with an ACL tear. But anyone would suggest that Perkins hasn't been as impactful moving forward after that 7-game sample his freshman season. So they've played him at nickel. They've played him at defensive end. They've played him at inside linebacker. They've moved him all over the place. And they haven't found the best way to use him. And part of it is using 2 different coordinators. Part of it is not having great personnel around him. Part of it is Harold learning a new spot. Like, there are a lot of factors at play here. But what cannot be argued is that this is the last chance. And I think the star makes a ton of sense for Harold Perkins. Let's take Major Burns' role in last year's defense and put numbers to it. He played 241 snaps at slot corner, 213 in the box around the line of scrimmage, and then 49 on the defensive line. That, to me, is a blend of snaps that Harold Perkins can play. Maybe a few more in the box than slot corner, not as many on the defensive line, but that's reasonable to say that, 40% at slot corner, 40% in the box, 10%, 15%, 20% on the defensive line. That's doable. You look at what Burns was asked to do. He played almost 300 snaps in coverage. He played 250 snaps against the run, and then he rushed the passer 33 times. Now, that blend is going to have to shift because Perkins has got to rush more than he is in coverage. I shouldn't say that. Not more. You got to make it closer. It can't be 292 to 33. You got to rush Perkins more than you rushed Burns. And that's doable. But you got to get into those situations. You got to get a lead. You got to get teams into third downs. Now, when I say you got to put him in Perkins in coverage a little bit, and some people go, no, don't put him in coverage. Let him rush. He's actually pretty good in coverage. 2 years ago, as a sophomore, he graded out 81.1 in his coverage snaps by Pro Football Focus. That's excellent. In the 80s is excellent. Over 291 snaps, which is not a small sample size, he did a good job in coverage. He can do that. And then you've got to turn him loose when it's time to turn him loose. What you really don't want to see is him just playing right in the middle of the field, catching guards, catching tackles, and not being able to roam free. You need to use his athleticism. And his athleticism is best used in space, and the space is covering tight ends, covering short routes out of the slot, then playing on the edge and getting up the field in pass rush. All of these things you can do at the star position. His skill set is a hybrid. He's 6'1", 225, which means he's significantly bigger than corners and significantly smaller than rush ends. He's relatively speaking the same size as speedy outside linebackers, but he's more dynamic than them. He can do things in space they can't do. So if you've got a player that's got a hybrid size and skill set, put him in a hybrid position that allows him to do different things. The star is that. He's not going to play it just like Major Burns. He's not going to play it just like Juwan Johnson would have, and that was the backup. But he's got the ability to do the things that are asked of that position. It's just then a matter of teaching him that and then calling it properly so that he's covering when he needs to cover, he's affecting the game in the backfield when he needs to affect the game in the backfield, and he's changing the dynamics of the offense with his playmaking ability. The best thing LSU can do for Harold Perkins to make him the best player he can be is for the rest of the defense to step up and get the other teams into third downs, and for the team as a whole to step up and create a situation in the fourth quarter where LSU's leading, teams have to pass. You can line Perkins up on the line of scrimmage and turn him loose. That's what LSU's got to do to make Harold Perkins the best he can be. I don't think we've seen the best Harold Perkins can be. And this is no guarantee of that as you move into 2025, but it makes the most sense. Hat tip to Julie Boudouin for getting that interview over there at the Bengal Tiger on 3. I've got a column up on this entire thing at louisianasports.net right now that you can go ahead and read, but I think this makes all the sense in the world for Harold Perkins. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.